many times a day today, but he's your favourite fighter. One of my favourite fighters to watch him. I hope when I beat him, he doesn't retire. I hope he has some more fights. I hope he doesn't retire once I beat him, but that's what's going to happen. I'm going to beat him just like I beat Michael Chandler. Beat him for the punch on the feet, ruin his legs with kicks. I'm going to damage his calf, and if it does go to the ground, it'll be over even faster.
Listen, this prediction might absolutely shock the hardcore fans leading into the stacked UFC 34C4 main event, because what's about to be said goes against everything the betting lines are telling you right now.
You're one of the few that I've heard say that. Can you tell us why?
I just think he's been in those 25-minute fights. He's been in dog fights before.
Oh.
I'm putting him on the feet, and I don't think Paddy's going to be able to get him down. So he's going to have to fight with him. Unless Paddy can stay super disciplined for 25 minutes, stay at distance, pick his shots. Justin's just a bigger puncher, and he'll put himself in harm's way to land one of those shots. And it's tough to stay away from it for 25 minutes.
Do you think that the UFC wants Paddy to win?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, because Justin's talking about retirement, and Paddy's still young, and they can continue to build him. There's a bunch of fights we haven't seen with Paddy. So it's more marketable if Paddy wins.
And so how do you see it playing out?
I think Justin stops him.
This seasoned analyst zeroed in on Gaethje's battle-tested experience from those brutal championship 5-rounders as the X-factor that could decide everything when that cage door slammed shut. The man has survived wars inside the octagon, the kind of fights that forge something you simply cannot replicate in any gym on the planet. That deep understanding of how to push through hell itself when the championship rounds arrive and lesser fighters crumble. He's questioning whether Pimblett can hang with Gaethje in pure striking exchanges, and here's the real problem. He's doubting if the Brit can even secure takedowns against a wrestler with fundamentals this solid, which forces Pimblett into a nightmare scenario where standing and trading becomes the only viable path forward. The challenge becomes maintaining composure and control for the full 25 minutes of championship combat, staying disciplined, picking the right moments to explode, avoiding those extended firefights that could spell disaster. That's the type of cage wisdom that only comes from years of elite-level title fight experience that Pimblett simply hasn't accumulated yet. Gaethje carries significantly more power in those hands and possesses the warrior mentality to march through danger just to land his own fight-ending shots, and trying to survive that suffocating pressure for 5 complete rounds presents a monumental task for anyone, especially someone stepping into their very first championship opportunity under the bright light.
I'm going to go with Paddy, you know what I mean? There's been a couple of times where I thought Paddy's had big tests in front of him and he's passed them. And, you know, he showed me in his last fight he can really stick to a game plan. And he's going to need that with a Gaethje. So I'm going to go Paddy.
And
you know, if he gets it done, it's because Justin's just so shot. He's been in so many wars. You know, he's been around the company so long, and that knockout to Max Holloway, he just hasn't recovered from. So if he gets to win that, then yeah, there. But this is like, seems like a smash spot. Like if I was able to bet fighting, which we're not allowed to because the feds got involved because that moron coach James Krause screwed it up for all of us. But this seems like a smash spot on Gaethje because everybody's on, and all the public is driving the money line for Paddy Pimblett to be the favorite. But you know, I think Justin's still a tough dog, and he's going to come out there and give his all, and he doesn't want to lose this fight. This could be his last fight if he loses. So, you know, I think he's going to put Paddy to the test, and, you know, Paddy, you know, usually has to control the wrestling aspect, put guys to the ground to get his submission and to get his striking game working. So, you know, I don't know. Justin's shot on one hand, they're trying to give him an easy win on a silver platter to Paddy to build him up. You know, he's got a little bowl cut and a little mouth, and they think he's the next star. So, I don't know. It's a tough fight to judge. You know, how much is left in the tank for Justin versus a guy that's absolute nobody that hasn't actually accomplished anything in the sport yet. We shall see.
Hold up. Okay, so Alexander Volkanovski approached this entire situation from a completely different angle as UFC 34 approaches on January 24th. The former featherweight king is actually backing Pimblett to win and capture that interim gold, and his reasoning comes down to what he's consistently witnessed from Pimblett when the stakes reach their highest point throughout his entire UFC run. Time and time again, when doubters questioned the Liverpool fighter before those massive bouts, he responded by executing his game plan to perfection and silencing every single critic in the building. Volkanovski specifically pointed to Pimblett's most recent performance against Chandler as undeniable evidence of his ability to stick to a strategic approach even under the most intense pressure imaginable. That unique capability will prove absolutely critical when you're standing across from someone as dangerous and unpredictable as Justin Gaethje.
Boxing. Don't get pulled into chaos. Don't get pulled into a grappling or wrestling or showing that you could do what he can do better, right? I think on the feet, Justin, you have a really big advantage. And if you're patient, you're smart, you systematically break him down, kind of like how you did against Tony Ferguson, it'll be an easy night for you. For Paddy, I think you got to create chaos. You got to wrestle as much as possible. Yeah, he has college wrestling accolades. This isn't college wrestling. This is UFC. This is fighting. This is punches. This is grappling. This is everything involved. So if I'm Paddy, I'm going to shoot in early and test it early. Because when you guys are both dry, that's where it comes. We've seen guys like Habib catch a low kick and shoot off it, or as he's pulling that kick back, shoot off it, pushing him to the fence. We've seen him get pressured. We don't want to get hit by him. Everybody who gets hit by him says how hard he hits. He's one of the hardest hitters in the division. So let's not test your chin. Let's not say Scousers don't get knocked out, right? We don't need to do that. I think your path to victory is clear. It's on the ground. I think you will have a big advantage if it gets into those hard grappling exchanges. And especially if you get multiple takedowns on him. You were able to control Michael Chandler, who's another college wrestler, on the ground pretty easily, mounted him. And you say you want to do the same thing with Justin? Let's put that plan to action. My pick, I think I'm going to go with Justin. I think Paddy just gets hit a lot on the feet. Yeah, he's pretty much clean his last two victories, but Jared Gordon had some clean shots on him, big hooks, big crosses. And Justin kind of like boxes, kind of like Jared. Clean, he likes dirty boxing, he likes inside boxing. Justin's very good there, so I think I'm going to pick Justin in this one. I don't know if he knocks him out or finishes him. I do think it kind of would be a decision. I'm going on the Tony Ferguson type fight. Paddy's tough. He's not hard to break. I mean, it's not easy to break.
On the
Oh man, more skilled, more experienced, I think better fighter all around, Justin Gaethje. But I also have been on record and said that Paddy Pimblett is better than a lot of people think he is. You know, because of his haircut and the way he talks. And when I fought him, he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. He's got long reach, good kicks, pretty darn patient and composed in there. But Gaethje's a whole different animal. So if I had to bet, I'd go Justin Gaethje, interim champion, and then he beats Elliot Taporia later on this year.
Talking to Submission Radio, Covington expressed straight-up frustration that the gambling odds are currently favoring Pimblett so heavily in this matchup. Covington admitted he'd drop serious money on Gaethje winning if active fighters were allowed to bet on their own fights. That's how confident he is in this upset happening. While massive public support continues backing the British fighter, Covington sees Gaethje as a battle-tested, iron-willed opponent ready to test Pimblett beyond anything he's faced before in his career. The challenge Pimblett confronts on Fight Night will reveal if he genuinely belongs among the division's elite, or if his rapid ascent was somewhat manufactured by favorable matchmaking.
I don't know, dude. I'm kind of leaning towards Paddy. But the way he does get hit with left hooks, he looks so good against Michael Chandler. Paddy's got a lot of ways to win.
He's a scouser.
He's a scouser. Scousers don't get knocked out, you mushrooms.
He KO'd Dustin with a head kick too. The fight before the Max Holloway one, which is pretty impressive.
True. So who got, man?
Probably Paddy, rear naked.
I think. Oh, Paddy RNC.
Because remember, it could be.
Yeah.
Lester.
Paddy's more popular. You're getting it over Arvin.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? And that's, I mean, God, I hate kind of get into this too much, but I mean, that's really that's the definition of, monopoly, where a single promoter owns the title and the rankings. And it's not a good thing for the sport, in my opinion. And I have to question what it's going to do for the longevity of the sport. I don't think in the short term it's really going to make a big difference, right? It's going to sell the next fight, right? It's going to sell the next pay-per-view. But trends tend to come and go, right? Fads tend to come and go. At some point, to have staying power and lasting power, I think it requires, a meritocracy-based system. It's going to require, some, if you want to bring in guys like Armin Tsarukyan or Movsar Evloev, I always mess up how I say his name. You want to bring in these Olympic wrestling level guys. I mean, they don't want to have to go out there and put on some ridiculous show to become a champion. They don't want to have to go on Instagram and start a podcast and make whatever kind of skits on social media and this silly kind of stuff. They just want to be a world champion because they want to be the best athlete. And that's what makes me wonder how the staying power is going to be, right? When you're dealing with guys that are, legitimate athletes that want to be legitimate athletes, and they're getting passed up by guys that are entertainers.
Hooker jumped into that conversation echoing those exact same sentiments, strongly challenging Pimblett's position as the betting favorite in this interim title fight. Hooker highlighted Gaethje's incredibly sharp takedown defense as a massive obstacle for Pimblett's entire strategy, stating flat out, "No, I don't think Paddy should be the favorite here. Gaethje's takedown defense is razor sharp. I don't see him getting Gaethje down to the mat at all. Paddy hasn't consistently gone in there and faced elite fighters during their absolute prime years." Bilal Muhammad broke down the fight on his YouTube channel and ended up picking Gaethje as well for very specific reason. The former welterweight champion identified Pimblett's tendency to absorb significant strikes during stand-up exchanges as a glaring vulnerability. This weakness becomes exponentially more dangerous when you're facing an opponent with Gaethje's devastating power and violent fighting style that breaks opponents mentally and physically. Muhammad believes those defensive lapses will eventually prove catastrophic, leading him to predict Gaethje gets his hand raised when it's all said and done.
Pimblett and Justin Gaethje, who do you favor in that fight?
I gotta go with Gaethje. I feel like he's the one that loves to like get down and throw fist for fist, and he's also got the Division I wrestling to negate some of the biggest skill sets of Paddy. Paddy's like a very dominant grappler when it comes to submissions. I think Gaethje has the tools to keep it where he wants.
He competed weird.
Bad, dude. Paddy's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again. Paddy's in for a new treat, right? Paddy's the one that's never fought for a belt. He's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion.
Chandler brought particularly valuable insight given his unique position of having actually shared the octagon with both of these fighters under the bright lights. After losing to Pimblett back in April 2025, Chandler gained firsthand knowledge of skills that casual fans constantly underestimate and overlook. He openly admits the Liverpool native possesses far more tools than average viewers recognize or give him credit for, but when forced to make an actual prediction for this fight, Chandler still leans toward Gaethje based on his championship experience and complete skill set across all areas. The former Bellator champion views Gaethje as representing an entirely different class of opponent that Pimblett hasn't encountered yet during his professional journey through the sport. Chandler even went further, suggesting Gaethje could potentially unify the championship afterward against Topuria, though he also praised Topuria as possibly the best fighter in mixed martial arts today across any weight class. The lightweight division has evolved into an absolute shark tank, with multiple talented contenders all making legitimate claims to title shot.
Tough matchup, I think 5 rounds. If this is the common take, everybody gonna say that, not only me, but if Justin Gaethje doesn't stop him on the beginning, he's going to lose. I think everybody thinks like that, and I think Paddy Pimblett will beat Justin Gaethje. That's what I think.
Instead,
that I'm glad it's over and I never want to do it again. I'm like, the fans don't ever ask for a rematch or anything like that, because that would have never. I'm glad. He's unique, man, and he's one of my favorite guys to watch. So but if you want to beat Justin Gaethje, you have to. So he's a forward fighter and a pressure fighter that he will stand in the pocket, and he's gonna throw everything he got in that pocket. If you don't meet him, you'll get chewed up. So Paddy, the way to beat a guy who does this, very violent, aggressive pressure fighter, you have to meet him. You have to throw when he throws. So you got to be brave, and you have to go when he goes in between his shots. If you do that, you got a fair shot. If you don't do that, if you're not brave and courageous and throw when he throws in between his shots, it's going to be a really long night. It's going to be a hard night for you.
O'Malley stood out from the crowd by confidently endorsing Pimblett for the interim championship victory this weekend. The bantamweight star sees this as a perfect stylistic matchup for the British grappler to capitalize on and secure the win. O'Malley predicts Pimblett will identify an opening somewhere during the second round and capitalize by securing a fight-ending rear naked choke that puts Gaethje to sleep. This demonstrates tremendous faith in Pimblett's elite-level ground skills and his instincts for recognizing precisely when opponents become vulnerable during the chaos of battle inside that cage. O'Malley believes those world-class submission abilities will ultimately be the decisive factor when everything is on the line under championship pressure.
No, an interim champion basically means the #1 contender. But if Paddy can pull it off, unbelievable. That'll be 4 champs, 2 interims and 2 legit, well 3 legit now with Tom being promoted from the UK that have become champions. And for Justin Gaethje, this is the final go. This is the final crack of the whip. The man's had 2 title fights in the past, Charles Oliveira to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now he gets to go up against Paddy Pimblett. Now, talking about the matchup, of course, it is an easier fight for Justin than what it is against Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the greatest of all time. Islam Makhachev, the current pound for pound, and according to many people, a man that is surpassing Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? So in that regard, it is an easier matchup. Will Paddy be able to take him down? Will he dance around the octagon? Yes, he will. Will he try and replicate the game plan of Max Holloway? Of course he will. Who wouldn't try and do that? You aren't going to stand and go toe-to-toe with Justin Gaethje because the man does have knockout power. But underestimate Paddy at your peril.
As you Amas, Matt Brown expressed opinions extending well beyond simple fight predictions into broader criticism of modern UFC matchmaking philosophy that's taking over the sport. The veteran conveyed genuine frustration over what this specific matchup represents for how title opportunities are being distributed in today's era. Brown views Pimblett's rapid rise to an interim title shot as completely disconnected from true competitive merit and achievement. Instead, it appears aligned primarily with social media following and marketability designed to drive pay-per-view sales and revenue. He sharply contrasted this with Arman Tadrukian, who systematically checked every single competitive box, defeating elite contenders and proving himself against the division's most dangerous killers repeatedly. Despite that impressive resume, Tadrukian somehow found himself excluded from title consideration while Pimblett received the golden opportunity handed to him. This critique reflects growing concerns about how championships are being contested now, where popularity and hype sometimes outweigh actual accomplishment inside the octagon. Into Booty Reds. Faber offered similar arguments to various other analysts who are picking Gaethje in this matchup. The former WEC champion sees Gaethje as absolutely thriving once fights devolve into chaotic brawls, displaying complete willingness to exchange bombs just to land his own fight-altering shots that change everything. Despite Faber acknowledging the legitimate threat from Pimblett's submission abilities on the ground, he believes Gaethje's Division I wrestling background provides the defensive foundation needed for surviving dangerous grappling exchanges. This wrestling pedigree should enable Gaethje to guide engagements back towards stand-up battles where he maintains clear advantages and feels most comfortable imposing his violent will. Ferguson has trained against both fighters throughout his extensive UFC career inside the gym. He suggested that hunger and drive could be crucial factors not entirely captured by statistics and technical skill breakdowns. Ferguson thinks Gaethje's complicated history of interim belts and multiple failed title aspirations might create mental baggage that impacts his performance when the pressure mounts. In contrast, Pimblett's burning desire to earn his first major championship prize may generate the raw energy that propels athletes beyond their normal limits and into legendary performances. Ferguson considers both contenders beatable given his personal experience with them, yet he slightly leans towards supporting the fresh face chasing a golden opportunity with absolutely everything to gain. Renato Moicano dropped a bold prediction calling for Pimblett to win by submission when the dust settles. His logic suggests that unless Gaethje can secure an early knockout or technical knockout in those opening rounds, this fight will inevitably transition into grappling exchanges where Pimblett holds undeniable advantages that cannot be ignored. Moicano argues that betting markets have failed to adequately account for the massive disparity in submission skills between these two fighters at the highest level. The current odds should reflect a significantly closer matchup than what sportsbooks are offering right now to bettors. This exposes a potential blind spot in how casual audiences are evaluating this bout, focusing too heavily on striking power while completely undervaluing the grappling dimension where fights are truly won. Eddie Alvarez provided his breakdown from an incredibly unique perspective, informed by first-hand understanding of Gaethje's relentless approach inside that cage. After handing Gaethje his first UFC defeat years ago, instead of emphasizing raw talent or technical prowess, Alvarez emphasized preparation quality as potentially the most critical factor that determines victory. The former lightweight champion explained that Gaethje imposes a specific type of overwhelming pressure that sparring partners simply cannot genuinely replicate during any training camp preparation. Alvarez vividly remembers the relentless physical impacts, suffocating aggression, and complete absence of breathing room that defined every second of their fight together. No amount of training can fully prepare a fighter for that brutal reality until experiencing it firsthand, under championship-level scrutiny when everything matters. The combatant who adjusts faster once the opening bell actually rings could secure the victory, regardless of everything that happened during training camp leading up to fight night. It's about who adapts in real time when the chaos begins. Vettori threw his support behind Pimblett, emphasizing the British fighter's complete and well-rounded game from every angle. The former middleweight title challenger also referenced that legendary Liverpool chin that's become synonymous with Pimblett's reputation for eating shots. Despite acknowledging Gaethje's status as one of the sport's most devastating punchers with knockout power in both hands, Vettori believes Pimblett will discover a path to victory through seamless transitions between striking and wrestling phases whenever the situation demands it. This flexibility to change approaches and alter the bout's entire dynamic represents a weapon that could prove decisive when Pimblett needs to escape dangerous positions or impose his dominance strategically. His ability to threaten across multiple dimensions forces opponents into impossible defensive decisions that create openings everywhere. 1. UFC 34 rapidly approaches with this interim lightweight championship battle, headlining the entire card this Saturday night. The mixed martial arts world remains sharply divided on the probable outcome when these two warriors finally collide. This weekend's showdown inside T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas will provide definitive answers to questions that have fueled endless debates across the combat sports community. Whether Gaethje's seasoned experience and devastating striking power overwhelm Pimblett's perfect record, or if the British contender's elite ground game and tactical adaptability proved too much for the veteran to overcome, remains the ultimate mystery. Both fighters arrive carrying different types of pressure and motivations that could ultimately tip the scales when absolutely everything is on the line under those bright lights.